There was no dramatic discovery, no lipstick on a collar, no stranger's perfume lingering in our sheets. There was just a mistake, a sync error. Her old laptop, the one she barely used anymore, the one we both forgot was still logged into her messaging apps, chimed while I was homesick from work. I wasn't snooping, I had no reason to. We had been together for 12 years, married for 7. I thought I knew her down to the bones. But then the notification appeared, half visible on the corner of the screen. I can still feel you from last night. I stared at it. My brain buffered, then froze. Not because I didn't understand it, but because I immediately, instinctively did. You don't write that to a friend or a colleague. You write that to someone you've given yourself to, someone you've chosen deliberately over the person waiting for you at home. I clicked the thread. The conversation spanned weeks, photos, times, hotel bookings, details about his hands, about how I would never know, about how she felt alive again. Her name was Emily. She worked in HR for a large software firm downtown. We met through mutual friends. She was warm, funny, sharp. I wasn't flashy, but I made her laugh, and she said that mattered more. Apparently not anymore. I didn't confront her. Not right away. My hands were shaking, but my brain was already sorting, organizing. She had the affair. I had the data. I read everything. I screenshotted everything. Then I backed it up on a secure cloud folder she didn't know existed. Labeled it Vacation Plans. By the time she came home that night, smiling, humming like everything was fine, I had already made mine. I wasn't going to yell. I wasn't going to cry. I wasn't even going to leave. I was going to stay. Just long enough to take her world apart from the inside. Quietly. The first thing I did was change my schedule. I started working from home more, used sick days, floated vague mentions of burnout to my manager. He didn't question it. I was one of the top performers in our division. Emily, on the other hand, thrived on routine. She liked predictability. It gave her space to hide things. And I was going to make her uncomfortable in it. Suddenly, I was home when she didn't expect me. I'd show up to her office building at lunch with her favorite coffee and say, "Thought I'd surprise you." Her smile never reached her eyes. She'd glance at her phone before hugging me, always that half second too long. I wasn't doing this to trap her. I already had the trap. This was just pressure, soft psychological pressure, a reminder that I was present, watching. She didn't know how much I knew, but she began to suspect I knew something. That's when she started overcompensating, suddenly planning more date nights, texting me during the day, even initiating sex again. I played along, smiled, held her hand, let her believe she still had the upper hand. But behind her back, I was rerouting the entire infrastructure of our shared life. The finances came first. She never paid attention to our money. I'd always managed the bills, the mortgage, the investments. She had her own income, of course, but the house, the savings, the retirement, all tied to my accounts. I opened a new bank account under a holding company name, nothing shady, just a way to slowly transfer funds she wouldn't notice, small amounts from joint savings, minor investment liquidations. I also removed her as a beneficiary on everything I could, quietly updating wills and insurance policies through the company attorney. No drama, no noise. Then I installed a secure surveillance app on the old laptop. It logged keystrokes, captured screenshots. Her passwords were easy. She was using the same two she always had. I knew her calendar, her hotel bookings, her burner app logins, and I documented it all. Every date. Every time she said she was working late, but was actually in room 417 of the Cresswell downtown. Every message to the man she called Jax, even though his name was Michael. I didn't want revenge yet. I wanted a case. And I was building one with the kind of thoroughness you only see in people who've been emotionally shattered but haven't let the bleeding start yet. The next step was her network. Emily loved appearances. She curated her friendships like interior decor, polished, purposeful. So, I began showing up more socially, invited her best friend Liz and her husband over for dinner, suggested a weekend couples trip with her coworkers. I even started attending the gym where her coworker Rachel trained, the one who knew too much but kept quiet. It didn't take much to plant doubt. "I think Emily's been a little distant lately," I said to Liz one night after too much wine. "Maybe I've been working too much, but I feel like something's changed." That was it. Just enough vulnerability to make people wonder. And once people start wondering, it only takes a few small pushes to tip perception. 2 months after the first message popped up, I sat across from Emily at brunch while she laughed at something on her phone. She didn't notice I was watching her. I realized something strange. I didn't feel angry anymore. I felt ready. Not to forgive, not to fix it, just ready to flip the board and watch her try to pick up the pieces. The first strike was small, deliberately small. It was a Thursday, the day Emily always had her late strategy meetings. I knew exactly where she'd be, the Cresswell Hotel, room 417, with Michael. I waited until 9:15 p.m. Then I texted her. "Hope the meeting's going well. Just left your office. Thought I'd surprise you. Your team said you weren't in today. All good?" No question mark at the end, just a statement, direct, controlled. I didn't expect a reply. What I wanted was panic, doubt, and I got it. 3 minutes later, she responded, "Oh no, I left early for off-site prep. So sorry, just crazy today." She was fast, too fast, rehearsed. I didn't reply. That silence was the point. The next morning, she made breakfast, smiled a little too much, kissed my cheek before work. She was spinning, trying to cover holes she hadn't noticed were already wide open. And while she scrambled to stay afloat, I dropped the second stone. A flash drive, no label, left in her gym bag, the one she always left on the back seat of her car, never locked. I timed it right, late Saturday morning, just before her usual yoga class. The files on it? Every screenshot, every location match, hotel logs, chat logs, even one photo of her and Michael walking out of the hotel, not scandalous, just damning enough, taken from across the street, time-stamped, cropped just so, also included a document titled The Narrative, written like a script. "If you're reading this, you're still lying, but I'm not mad, I'm prepared." That was the first line. The rest was simple, emotionless, just a breakdown of what she'd done and what I knew, not begging for answers, not asking why, just showing her the evidence and letting the gravity do the work. She didn't mention the flash drive that weekend, not once. But she didn't sleep well either. I could tell. Sunday night, she stared at her phone a lot, thumb hovering, typing, deleting. I walked by and asked if everything was okay. She smiled too quickly and said, "Just texting Liz about her birthday." That was the moment I knew. She was afraid, not of me, of what I'd do next. And she was right to be, because the next move wasn't about her, it was about him. Michael was sloppier than she was. Corporate email, shared calendar access. One poorly shielded LinkedIn post revealed his wife's name, Danielle Lane. Married 11 years, 2 kids. She was a project manager for a nonprofit. Her profile was full of family pictures, PTA events, food bank drives. She was real, grounded, not the type who would forgive easily. So I made a second flash drive and mailed it anonymously to her office. Not out of rage, out of symmetry. If I had to live with the knowledge of betrayal, so would he. If I had to pretend to sleep next to someone I no longer trusted, so would she. And if Emily and Michael wanted to build their little fantasy life, I wanted them to do it in ruins. 2 days after that package landed, Michael disappeared from Emily's life. No warning, no contact, nothing. She came home that night, pale, silent. She poured wine but didn't drink it. Her hands shook. I didn't ask why. She didn't tell me, but I knew. She was alone now, just like she had made me feel. For months. Emily started spiraling after Michael vanished. She never told me directly, but her patterns gave her away. The sudden late nights stopped. The gym visits stopped. She was quiet, paranoid, jumping at notifications, watching me when she thought I wasn't looking. She tried to pretend everything was normal, but I knew she was waiting for me to explode, waiting for confrontation, chaos, shouting, tears. She got none of it. I still kissed her good morning, still brought her coffee, still folded laundry and asked about her day. That silence, it broke her more than shouting ever could. 2 weeks passed, then came the final move. I printed everything, every screenshot, hotel receipt, chat log, image. I bound them into a single clean report. Nothing emotional, just a ledger of betrayal. I titled the front page, Record of Events, October to March. At the back, I added a single letter, handwritten, folded. Here's what it said. Emily, you made me feel invisible, but I was never blind. I watched you lie to my face and still made you dinner. I held your hand while you sent him messages. I let you say you loved me, even when you didn't mean it, because I wanted to see how far you'd go before you broke. You didn't just cheat. You dismantled our life one lie at a time. But I never screamed, never accused. I just listened. I documented. I prepared. And now you get to live in the silence you created. This isn't revenge. This is recognition. I saw you. Now it's your turn to see me. I sealed the letter inside the report and placed it in a brown envelope. That evening while she was in the shower, I left it on her side of the bed. I didn't wait for her to read it. I got in the car and drove to the short-term lease I'd been quietly funding for 2 months. Clean, spare, already stocked. A home without ghosts. I didn't check my phone that night. I didn't need to. She wouldn't call. Because she would understand. I wasn't coming back. The next morning she sent one message. How long have you known? I replied, long enough to let you destroy everything on your own. Then I blocked her. I didn't celebrate. There was no moment of standing in front of a mirror and feeling triumphant. No slow smile, no cinematic thunderclap. Just silence. That first morning in the new place, I made coffee, sat on the balcony, and stared at nothing. Birds, traffic, a man walking his dog. Life kept moving, unaware of the crater behind me. I hadn't just walked away from Emily. I'd walked away from the version of myself who waited for her to come home every night. And the truth? I missed that man. Not her. Him. She tried to reach out 3 more times, first through email, a long, meandering apology full of blame-shifting and self-pity. I didn't respond. Then through a mutual friend asking if I'd be open to a civil conversation. I declined. Finally, a handwritten letter arrived weeks later. I burned it without opening it. She had said enough, and I had heard enough. What mattered now was that she couldn't rewrite the story. I had ended it with facts, not emotion. Her lies were buried under paper, receipts, messages, surveillance logs, truth that couldn't be dressed up anymore. Everyone in her orbit knew, not because I paraded her failure, but because I let her silence be loud enough. She had to explain his disappearance, her mood changes, my absence. She couldn't. Not without confessing. That was the most surgical part of it all. I gave her no villain but herself. It's been 9 months since I left. I'm not angry anymore, not really. I still think about it sometimes, not the affair, but the deliberate betrayal, the way she smiled at me while arranging her escape. That smile lives in the back of my head like a bad dream you never quite forget, but so does the day I left, and the sound the door made when I shut it behind me. quiet, clean, final. Some people think revenge is about rage, but the best revenge is peace. Unshared, unexplained, unapologetic. And mine was very, very quiet.